Hello, everybody. This is Carol Maletta. Welcome to the Parenting 411 podcast, where we share information parents need from sources they can trust. Hey there. Today we have a super special episode that's going to resonate with so many of you out there. We're going to talk about the world of parenting when you're an introvert with none other than the remarkable Debra Bell Campbell. She's not just a trailblazer in leadership and empowerment for introverted women, but also a best-selling author and an inspirational speaker who's rocking the stages globally. Now, have you ever wondered how being an introvert impacts your parenting style? I am an introvert too, so I know a little bit about this, so I can't wait to dive into this conversation. Have you wondered how you could harness the quiet power of introversion to raise confident and happy kids? Well, Deborah is here to share her wealth of knowledge and personal insights on these very topics. So, whether you're an introvert yourself or just curious about how introverted or the quiet people approach parenting, this episode is packed with eye opening perspectives and practical strategies that will empower and inspire. So, grab your favorite cup of coffee or whatever you like to drink, settle down, and let's unravel the beautiful journey of introverted parenting with the one and only Debra Bell Campbell. Thank you for joining me.
I am so glad to be here, Carol.
That's wonderful. So, how do you know when you're an introvert?
Oh goodness, I can't say that. Well, you put the words to it later on, but what I can tell you is that growing up, I always gravitated more outside of because I'm 8 of 12. I'm number 8 of 12, all the
Okay.
same dad. So it was a lot of us. And so I found myself gravitating outside by myself or maybe one or two of my siblings at a time, but very seldom unless we were in church, where we all just together. You know what I mean? I think I knew that as growing up, I gravitated toward becoming a counselor. So I was a licensed therapist for many, many years.
Okay.
And then one-on-one, it just kind of fit. Like I enjoyed therapy. I enjoyed doing things one-on-one with people. And
Mm-hmm.
so as I moved from that and transitioned into something else, I still noticed that there's still that energy
Mm-hmm.
around a whole lot of people. It feels like I've got the wind knocked out of me for a minute. And so
Mm.
I used to think it was more about, maybe it's some health concerns like anemia. Yeah, I got
Okay.
anemia, so I'm anemic. So that plays a role in it. But so I tried to figure out the medical stuff first. Like, why am I so tired? After
Mm.
a full day at work or what have you, before I had my child. And so I just try to figure that out. And so I settled on it probably just anemic. Need to, make sure my iron is in check, all that good stuff. And as time went by, I realized that iron was in check, but it's still feeling the same way. So introversion is really the way you focus your energy. And
That
so
is so interesting that you're even talking about a feeling, like a feeling when you're around a lot of people and all of that. Whereas a lot of times people just look at it as shy, or you just don't like to talk much or whatever. But sounds like there's so much more to it.
I would say,
hmm
mom called it shy.
Right, right, right. So I wonder then, when you were younger, when you went to the birthday party, were you one of the ones that had to be coaxed from your seat or from the side to come in and play whatever game was going on, or just join the group?
Well, so I never really joined the group like that. It was always one or two people on the outside, like me,
Okay.
on the peripheral. So the beauty of introversion is that we have those deep connections. So you kind of gravitate to people where you feel comfortable like drawn to them, and you just kind of connect with people on that one-to-one basis. Now, the intuitive side of me likes games to a certain
Okay.
degree. So I like to play things. So I will spend a little time talking, and then I'll slowly ease into the big group with the game. And when I've had enough, just kind of slide back out and go charge up a little bit away from the group, and then just kind of come back and forth with it.
Yeah, I think we would have been buddies. I think
Ah,
so. So, now, how did that change, or I don't know, did it change when you became a parent?
oh my, yes. To a certain degree. What I First of all, I was not that girl. Of all the girls in all my siblings, all the girls, I was not the one that was dreaming to be like mom, like all those kids.
Okay.
In fact, that was a little frightening. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want to be pregnant for 20 years. I didn't dream of the wedding. I didn't dream of having children, all that kind of stuff. But had been, of course, in a relationship for a while and then got married. And then it was at least 5 years before we actually had our son. And so it was very exciting,
Mhm.
but I was very scared. It was like exactly like you say about raising confident kids. I gotta put something into that because this little being nothing. Like I got to give him everything. And
Right.
so it changed a little bit that way with
Mhm.
me just realizing because when you think you know everything, when you think you're smart, right? I know the things. I know the things. Teach them right from wrong and do that. All the big outline things that you've seen or heard. But it did change a little bit in terms of it still was a one-on-one relationship. And
Yes.
for me, that's the kind of way I looked at it. It still was a one-to-one.
Mhm.
So able to still have those deep connections or build deep connections because it still was a one-to-one. And then
Mhm.
of course me, him, and my husband. So it's still an intimate group. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I get that because you're still in a one-to-one relationship. I think the way where it showed up for me is like when you have your little ones and you need to be talking to them. It's just so very quickly I learned, because it sounds kind of weird because you almost feel like you're talking to yourself because they don't know exactly what you're saying. But of course, you come to learn that they're getting a lot out of it. They're getting the rhythm of interaction. They say they're noticing that okay, that person she says something, and then I say something, or even as they see other people talking around them, they notice that give and take, and even when you're talking to them when they're little, you're saying one thing and then you're answering yourself because they're not able to yet, but they're getting there, and they're obviously can't deny they're learning words, they're learning sounds and all of that stuff. So yeah, I got on board with that pretty quickly, but I remember feeling like that in the when I first brought them home. It's like, but then you just start telling them what's going on. Like, we're gonna put on your pajamas, we're gonna get ready for bath time, or we're gonna do whatever it is. But that's how it kind of showed up for me. And then I realized how I don't talk that much. If I don't have to. And when I'm with my friends and, husband and whatever, and family, that's a little different. But yeah, that's kind of when it showed up. So, so parents might wonder how then can they raise a confident, well-rounded child when they themselves are introverts? We'll be right back after this. If you're looking to reach a massive audience of parents and caregivers, then look no further than ProPix by the Parenting 411, the ultimate marketing program designed to skyrocket your brand to new heights. With ProPix, we've created 3 incredible packages to suit your marketing needs and budget. So let's take a look. First up is our social starter package. You'll receive a stunning graphic promo piece, plus we'll also feature your brand on the Parenting 411 Instagram page. It's the perfect way to make a memorable first impression and get parents buzzing about your business. Now, if you're ready to level up, our Parenting Pro package is where it's at. You'll enjoy all the benefits of the social starter package, plus more awesome benefits, including exposure on the Parenting 411 podcast, which reaches parents in more than 22 countries each week. But wait, there's more. For those seeking the pinnacle of marketing power, our Elite Exposure package is the way to go. You'll get even more exposure across our platform, including thousands of followers and connections on LinkedIn. Get ready to dominate the airwaves and establish yourself as the go-to resource for families everywhere. Take advantage of Pro Picks by the Parenting 411 today and unlock unparalleled marketing opportunities for your business. But I should tell you that prices are set to increase on November 1st, so act now. Pro Picks by the Parenting 411 is your passport to the hearts and minds of parents. Visit ProPicksbyP411.com. Join us today and watch the magic happen. And we're back with the Parenting 411.
That is a good question, because one, the world, so you're the most important person that's raising your kids, but the world is raising them too. The world is out there. And so they're being introduced. So it's up to you to give them that foundation. And as an introverted parent, my mom was extroverted. Now that I think about it, my dad was more introverted. But my mom always exposed us. Didn't matter. I don't think she thought about us as the quiet one or the talkative one, that kind of stuff. But all of us got exposed to the same type of things. And we just kind of learned to react to things a little bit differently. But I think as a parent, you don't talk as much. But like you said, you know those things like, what do I need to do to help my child become a confident young adult, right? So you learn how to help them embrace those sides of them, both sides, because in a sense, we all operate a little bit in our extroverted preferences as well as our introverted. Me and you, of course, we gravitate more toward the introverted side, but you teach them to embrace all parts of them, and you have those at some point. What I noticed is that I was able to have conversations, now give or take normal development, when the kids at 9, 10, 15, they stages, right?
Yep.
So just understanding that it's not all about you as a parent. Sometimes they don't want you to talk and they don't want to listen either. They for them sometimes, but they'll be at that stage at some point. By the time they hit the teenage years and they get to that adolescent stuff, 0 to 10, like you've had these years to really kind of get in there and show them some things, introduce some things to them. Possibly at this point, of course, just start to incorporate things like self-care. You can call, I don't think I called that when he was growing up, of course, because that's the buzzword now, but
Right.
quiet time. So in school they have quiet time, right? So if you have those conversations about how important it is for us to have quiet time so that you can get all your strength together, and then when we get 10, 20 minutes or at 3 o'clock or whatever the time is, we go out and have fun together, but we need a little quiet time,
right,
so we can get ready. So you kind of incorporate the words in a positive light, so that they grow up and develop or what have you, they'll start practicing their quiet time when they need it. And then they'll recognize your quiet time. Like, I didn't think that ever was going to come. As a parent, I was like, oh my gosh, can I be alone in this bathroom? I didn't think it was going to come, right? It does come. Practice that and help them embrace all aspects of them.
Right. And I know for myself, definitely when they were in classes, gymnastics, music, or whatever, I really had to step out and engage with another parent and their children and what have you, and show them how to make friends and be friends and all of that, but still hold on to their nature. And you know that I have twin sons, and one's more extroverted and one's more introverted. They and Another aspect of their personality is that when they were younger, one was game to just jive in and try anything, and the other one kind of hung back and would observe. And both of those are strengths in the right under the right circumstances. And so that was something that early on, I wanted to make sure that I allowed them each to operate in their strengths, but also know how to adapt to situations that call for something different. So that's honestly what got me very curious about parenting strategies, and why I wanted to take a parenting class, because I didn't want to say maybe have the one that might be easier for me, the personality that's easier for me, pull the other one along because it's just easy for me or more comfortable for me. I wanted to really have them be themselves, but also have the tools to navigate situations that they're not going to be 100% in control of, and they're not going to always be comfortable in.
Right.
Yeah, and let's talk then about how the strengths of being an introvert and how they can apply in parenting.
So it gets very challenging, of course, when we talk about the ability to think very deeply.
Mhm.
So as an introvert, reflection and thinking very deeply are strengths. Observation and active listening, those are strengths. So if you take a little bit of all of that, because our kids, they need us so much when they're young, but they also need us so much when they're teenagers. I don't know if there is a time past, I should hope. I thought I was pretty independent by the time I hit 23. I would always love to go home and sit in my mom's lap, so it's kind of like, as a parent, they're yours for life, right? So I think when we say that they need us, if you establish early on that pattern of active listening, then
Mhm.
that becomes part of who they are. So they
Mhm.
know no matter what situation they get into, no matter what is going on, mom's gonna hear me out. And as
Yeah.
an introvert parent, that's a skill. I mean, not everybody, and I know sometimes we probably take it for granted, but not everybody are good listeners, and they
True.
always want to talk. So we got extrovert and introvert. Sometimes just really understanding that when extroverts talk a lot, it's not that they're just talking to hear themselves. Sometimes we think that, but it's not really just that. It's that that's how they process things, through
Mhm.
out and saying it out loud. Whereas me and you, perhaps, it's going on up here anyway. Like, I'm organizing my thoughts. I'm just not saying it until
Mhm.
it's time for me to say it, right? But I'm organizing. So I,
Mhm.
as a parent, actively listening and observation, because when
Mhm.
kids grow up, you have to, it's important for you to notice what's going on, notice the things that they are not saying.
Mhm.
That's the biggest thing I learned as a parent, is that you get to look at your kid, and they may not be telling you what's really happening, but
Right.
you be able to observe the body language. You got to observe, their mannerisms, all that good stuff, so that you can catch those things that they're not saying, and you can
Right.
facilitate a discussion with them about, oh, okay, so I see, and see what you can get. But if you start with that type of relationship as your kid is developing and growing, as they get older, always know mom's gonna notice it. No matter what I do, she's gonna catch that. And she's gonna listen to me, even if we don't agree, she's
Mhm.
open enough to listen. I think those are really important skills for parents. And I think that, as an introverted parent, I do those things well.
Mhm. Now, let's talk about when a child might be painfully quiet. A lot of parents think there might be something wrong with that. What would you do?
Oh, well, painfully quiet. I think I would probably ask to describe that to me. Like, exactly what does that look like? Like, what is your kid doing that you describe pain? Is it painful for you, or do you think the child is in some type of pain? Because they are so quiet. So I would just kind of ask the questions, like,
Mhm.
what does that really mean? Because sometimes it's about the parent. Like, I wish my child was more outgoing. I wish my child would come on in and get along with everybody. I mean, for whatever reason, society has taught us that that's important. Socialization is, but to the degree where if that's not who they are, to push them into that,
Mhm.
pain. You are the kid. You know what's happening there. So I will have to ask, what does that look like, and let's talk about, like, what do you see your kid doing that you think is painfully quiet?
Well, I mean, and you made a very important point. A lot of times it is painful for the parent.
Yep.
That's the problem.
That's what I say is, parents sometimes, because we want to be seen as good parents. And so when our child is not, out there socializing like everybody else, we want to say that, oh, something must be wrong. And
Mhm.
that may not be the case, that something is wrong. I mean, maybe it is, but you won't know until you start having those conversations with your child about, how do they feel when they're out there with a lot of people? And
Mhm.
if they are naturally, innately more introverted, then we want to embrace that with some positivity rather than making the child feel like there's something wrong because they don't want to. Like, they prefer to talk to I just prefer to hang out with my friend John over there. And it's
Mhm.
John all the time. And then parents are like, well, why did you know somebody else other than John? But it's okay, right? It's
Right.
okay
Sure.
to embrace
Sure.
that. So sometimes we just, as parents, we have to just talk, find out
Mhm.
what's really, you know.
Mhm. And so, are there some strategies for overcoming introversion? Or is it just better to just realize that's who you are and just live like that and maybe miss out on some opportunities?
Well, I would say, I don't know if overcoming, because innately it's you, it's who you are, and there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that. But there
Mhm.
are strategies, I
Mhm.
think, like you say, in order to grow and develop. When you ask your kids where you want to be when you grow up, some of those things that people decide they want to do requires you to step outside of your comfort zone. If
Okay.
you want promotion that you're looking at, if you see yourself somewhere that takes a little work, you do have to step outside of your comfort zone to get there. So I would say, as an introvert, some of the things that I've done that I found very effective is
Mhm.
that you you take one step. You take one step to do something different than what you would normally do.
Okay.
So as a parent, you'll ask your kid to do the same. Let's try this. Let's
Mhm.
like it. It's kind of like with vegetables, when you were younger, and so your parents would just put all the stuff, the Brussels sprouts and things on the plate, and you like, I don't like that. But you can get away with just saying, I don't like that. Try it.
Right.
And if you don't like it, you don't like it. But don't not try just because it's something different. So that's,
Mhm.
I believe, with introversion. There are some spaces that make me uncomfortable. As an adult, I've learned how to put myself right in the middle of those spaces and
Mhm.
feel the uncomfortableness
Mhm. Mhm.
inside. Okay, so I did that. This is what I like about it. This is what I didn't like about it. And then
Mhm.
do that part of it that I enjoyed
Mhm. Mhm.
and practice a little bit.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a time in parenting that can be really tricky and can really humble all of us, and that's the teen years. So, talk about the challenges of relating to teens when you're an introvert.
Well, I will say, again, the developmental stage by itself. I mean, adolescence is one of those time frames that we've gone through. It was hectic when we were going through it. It's just your body is changing. Everything is changing, and just trying to get to know that. I
Mhm.
think as an introverted parent, my tendency is already to not get all close in there anyway. That's my tendency, right? So I have to really push myself to recognize when he's ready to talk and when he's not.
Mm.
And then there are those times where neither of us are ready, but this is a conversation we got to have. This is something we got to talk about. So the challenge, I think, with teenagers is that you never really know where they are.
Mhm.
Always seem like they're not listening. Always. Even though I may tend to not, we can't not say it. We can't not
Right.
engage with each other just because, okay, they may not be listening, because
Mhm.
they are. They are.
Mhm.
And so the challenge is for introverted parents is just to continue to watch, observe. And whenever there's a time to get in there and get it, say what you need to say or what have you, then make it happen. And just remind, hugs go a long way, even though they may tend like they don't want to do it. But just staying close with your child during those teenage years, it will
Mhm.
be challenging.
Mhm.
And if you've already, developed that deep sense of active listening and observation skills and just being open as they grow through adolescence, they remember that about you. And you'll be amazed. Sometimes they come to you and just start talking. So just
Mhm.
open to that, I think becomes important as they are adolescents.
Yeah, it's so important because things might be going on
Oh,
that and as a matter of fact, things are going on. If it's not with them, it's with their friends or somebody that they know at school. I mean, it's challenging. I'm sure every generation says that it was challenging when they were teens, but there's so much going on. I don't know how I would do right now with all the things that they have going on.
this is true.
We'll be right back after this. Are you a parent looking to unlock your potential in raising confident, capable, and courageous children? Well, look no further. Join us at the upcoming Parent and Purpose Summit Back to School Edition, where parenting experts from around the world will come together to share their wisdom and insights. I'm Carol Maletta, founder of the Parenting 411. This summit is your opportunity to gain essential skills and tools to become the parent you've always aspired to be. Over 5 incredible days, we'll dive deep into topics like positive discipline, effective communication, mental health, self-care, school readiness, and more. An attendee from our last summit told us, "This summit changed my parenting game. I feel more confident and connected with my children than ever before." So secure your seat at the Parent and Purpose Summit today. Visit parentandpurposesummit2023.com. That's Parent and Purpose Summit 2023.com. And click the registration button to join us on this transformative journey. The Parent and Purpose Summit, where intentional parenting begins. And we're back with the Parenting 411.
True. It's so interesting because my son's his interests are a lot different.
Mm.
Of course, he started high school on COVID. So his first year in high school was virtual. And
Mm-hmm.
so that experience, you know how that experience you get in the ninth grade and just started high school, you know,
Yes.
this group here, class of 2024, didn't get the opportunity to start that way. And it's
Right.
been different every year. This is the first group of kids who've gone through a completely different type options, different types of classes than what most people have gone through.
Mm-hmm.
So it's challenging, but all at the same time, as an introverted parent, just keeping the doors of communication open, that connection with
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter if they're introvert or extrovert, it's that connection that you've created throughout the years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So finally, what's the most important piece of advice you could give to introverted parents?
Oh my goodness, embrace it. And the beauty is when you embrace it as a parent, then it's you give it to your child. You give them permission to be
Mm-hmm.
themselves but pull out those things that I think are strengths as a introverted parent, as an introverted person. Help them understand that who they are is important so that it can build their confidence and play into the strengths, like you said earlier about what you did with your sons. Play into their strengths,
Mm-hmm.
what those strengths may be, before, like I always say, for the love of God, don't make it seem like it's a disease. It's
Right.
not.
Right.
Introvert
Right.
is not a disease. It's not antisocial. There's nothing wrong with your child if that's who they are. So
Mm-hmm.
embrace who they are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I want to give you a moment to share a bit of your expertise and the work that you do. We've spoken a lot, of course, on parenting and how that works when you're an introvert because you have personal experience with it. But I want to give you a moment to talk about your professional experience, your professional work with women before you go.
Oh, awesome. So I help empower. Let me say empower. I empower introverted women in leadership to help them learn how to leverage their introversion and elevate. So I work mostly with first-time supervisors or frontline supervisors, and help them move into the second level, a mid-level position. So I do that through coaching, a number of products or so to just kind of help. But our pillars are command and confidence. So teaching those people to embrace those things about them that's always been a beauty that they never recognized.
Mm-hmm.
Accentuating their authenticity. So doing it as you. Like, we don't have to fake it. We don't have, you know how they say fake it till you make it? I
Yes.
I don't advise. Don't fake it. Be you. You just have to keep pushing even when you get knocked down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nourishing your networks. So get into a community of other like-minded people. Let's talk about what our challenges are as introverted leaders. Let's talk about what we have done and what we can do to increase our ability to elevate. Or if you're not seeking to get promoted or anything of that nature, let's just talk about how it can make your life better, your
Mm-hmm.
relationship stronger, wherever you are. And we talk about visibility. So when
Mm.
I said earlier how important it is that do the things that you fear the most. You know,
Yes.
as an introvert, I know for myself about 2, 3 years ago, I decided, okay, I'm gonna be a speaker. Just gonna do that. There's a lot of work that goes into that, first of all, but just the courage to step outside of my comfort zone. What I find that preparation is my friend. So
Yes.
preparation, once you do all of that, the confidence just shows up and you're able to do whatever it is that you want to do. But planning
Mm-hmm.
preparation is part of our superpowers, as I like to say anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So taking those superpowers and applying it to something that I didn't think it was something that I couldn't do. It's just something that I wasn't attracted to doing. So it's kind of like, okay, let me give this thing a try. And so from there, lots of wonderful things have happened. I've met a lot of amazing people. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about it. So I use my extroverted side when speaking, that kind of.
Sure.
But I use my introverted side to actually prepare myself to do that. So we dabble a little bit in both. It's just you have to, like you said, if you don't want um, to have regrets, to look back on your life and say, I wish I had I wish, I wish, I wish. You do have to step out of your comfort zone and just do it.
Yes. Well, where can people follow you on social media?
And I'm D Bell Campbell on all of my social media sites. I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn lately. So I started a newsletter for introverted women in leadership, and so far so good. But we talk all things leadership. And for this quarter, we're really focusing on how you can command your confidence as a quiet leader. So all the things you can do to practice, prepare, to get your confidence up, because a lot of it is it's about that. You have to believe that you can do it before you do it. You got to see yourself doing it before you do it. And so we talk a lot about the things, all the tools and strategies that you can use to increase your confidence so that you can take yourself to the next level.
Right. So you're D Bell Campbell on Instagram and Facebook and
TikTok uh, and Deborah Bell Campbell on LinkedIn. So if you Google that, then it'll take you right to me.
Okay, and what is the name of your company?
Inspired Visions Consulting Group.
Okay. Okay. And I really appreciate you coming on to talk with me about this. And something that you mentioned where you were talking about it in the professional sense, I definitely applied as a parent, and it was a strength in my professional world, but I did bring it home. And that is that piece about preparation, because that was a big part of it. I came into parenting. I was someone that had not spent a lot of time babysitting kids. I have nieces and nephews, but I didn't really babysit them. I played with them and whatever, and then they went on. But I never really had a lot of experience babysitting, except for my oldest niece. She did spend some time with us over the summer, so I guess you could call that babysitting. I'm not sure, but uh, but I didn't really spend a lot of time around children and thinking about the way they behave at this age versus that age or whatever. And so I really thought that having, kids was easy. Parenting, that is so easy. How hard could this be? And when I came home for paternity leave, I found out very quickly it can be quite hard, fulfilling, but quite hard, and you have to really be get prepared for it. And so once I did that and started reclaiming control of the way the day was flowing and all of that, that helped a lot. So that was where I did tap into a strength, and things started to make more sense. So I'm hoping that a lot of all of what you have shared will resonate with our listeners, and they will take it to heart and start practicing some of that. A lot of it was great advice, whether you're an introvert or not, but certainly if you are. And by all means, everybody, please look up Debra Bell Campbell on all the social media platforms. She has great content out there to help you. And I appreciate you listening. Continue to follow us with the Parenting 411 on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also catch the video of this interview as well. If you're listening in audio right now, you can also catch the video if you want to do a review, but you can also share with your friends. By all means, encourage them to like and subscribe to the channel so that they can continue getting information they need from sources they can trust, which is my mission. And you will continue to hear from people like Debra Bell Campbell. And as always, remember, it is never too late to be the parent you want to be. So I can't wait to talk to you next time. See you real soon.